cut like thicker pieces, it's actually good to layer a few layers because it's constantly like warming through, and it will give your couverture a little bit more elasticity as well. Now let's say you want to make a chocolate box, let's say it's in a heart shape. So your top and the bottom are no problem because you just cut out the heart, right? But your sides are a little trickier. So, I mean, you could, for a heart shape, just two pieces like that and one across the top, and that way it's like a triangle. But also you could use modeling chocolate. So you could roll out the modeling chocolate, you could cut strips, and then you can shape it, let them dry a little bit, and then attach them. So that's going to give you more flexibility with the shapes. Okay, but we're just going to keep it simple. So I can see starting to cool a little bit around the edges. So don't try and cut it while it's too soft. It's going to stick, right? So we have to give it a moment. And then I'm going to, so once I see it's setting, it's drying, I'm going to cut my pieces, okay? So I have no patience, right? My mother used to say patience is a virtue. But now in today's age, every time we turn the computer on, right, it takes a few more seconds than we think it should. We're like, why isn't it working? We're in this age of everything is right there at our fingertips and everything is instantaneous. And we're probably the generation where we didn't have Google. Do you remember that time when Google didn't exist?
Oh, you do not.
I mean, like, they existed, but
Maybe
super slow.
Maybe you've heard about it.
Or you had dial-up. Remember the dial-up tone?
Oh.
That as well.
Yeah, when you guys were 3.
Isn't it? It's crazy how fast it's moved. Yeah. But I'm kind of glad I remember the time before.
Right.
Probably never come again. Yeah, I did an interview, so I'm doing some work right now for a magazine called So Good, for a publication. It's going to be published in January. So I did an interview the other day, and was asking when I did my first competition. And it was when I was 17, I was in culinary school. And where did you get your inspiration? And I said, I went to the library, and I actually got a book out on Swiss pastries, and I looked at the recipes, and I, followed what I thought I could do, And the same, when I started, I'm the oldest of 4 girls, and my mother didn't really bake, or what she made didn't turn out very well. I still have horrific memories of her burning chocolate because she put it straight in the pot on the stove. And we were really excited about our chocolate-covered cupcakes, and they never happened. So I would make, as pretty young, like 11 and 12 years old, I would bake, and I'd organize all the birthday parties for my sisters. And I would make my cakes look like things. And he's like, well, where did you look for inspiration? And I'm like, it's a good question. I don't really, because we didn't have Food Network. I mean, Graham, Galloping Gourmet was on TV, but he actually drank more than he cooked, which you could not do today's TV, right? But there was nowhere. I mean, you just had to kind of take it from inside yourself, really, and
There was no guidance.
figure it out.
There was no guidance.
I mean, it's good, but you have to also be resourceful as well. It's like with tempering, I mean, not relying upon a thermometer. Could be wrong. You get to use your own judgment, right? And I would always tell my students that maybe one day they'll be working for like the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, and they'll be out in the desert, and in the desert there's tents, and the prince is going to ask them to make truffles. And what are they going to tell the prince? I don't have my thermometer with me, I can't make your truffles. So you might be in that situation one day. I'd also tell my kids.
None of you are allowed to work for the Crown. None of you.
I would also tell my kids that they had to eat properly, with good table manners and with a knife and fork, because the Queen might come to dinner. And my son really believed it. So one day, he's a little bit younger than my daughter, and so one day, my daughter's like doing something wrong at the table, and my son says, the Queen might come to dinner. She's like, what? So, is important. If you get used, if you know